So welcome, people. I was off to a false start there. I started talking without even recording. Here I am again. Welcome to the fourth call in a series of 6. We are more than halfway through. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Today's call is Module 4. It's about planning. It is the most important module of the series. It is the key to managing time. It's the key to everything, really. Why is it important, this particular module? Because it actually helps you maximize and leverage your time. It helps you unlock the mystery of how to do this. It helps you get all you should do done. And I say should do because we always find ways to, we always find time for the urgent and important, this quadrant here. So we find time for emergencies. We just get them done, we fit them in. Deadlines. We always make sure we find the time. However, when something is not urgent, but it is important, with these particular things, we have to make the time. Because otherwise they can continue to just get pushed back and pushed back. But this is the one area that we need to devote most of our time to. We need to aim for between 60 to 80% of our time in this quadrant here, which is called the urgent and important, and it's actually a model by Stephen Covey. So get a cup of tea, people, or a cup of coffee, and settle in for what's going to be a great call. We've got a lot to cover, and as I said, it is the most important module of all. Before I continue on, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that we are not having, there's no module next week. We're going to have an implementation week. So what that basically means is that you'll get to catch up, you'll get to practice, you'll get to basically just bring yourself and make yourself square. You've got everything that you really need to manage your time at this point. So for the next week, bring yourself up to date. Make sure you get all your accountabilities in so that we can power home with the last 2 modules. Can't believe it. 2 more modules to go after this. Wow. All right. Because we had so many questions last week. Oh, as always, we're going to go through the questions that came through the survey first. And if you have a question, make sure you type them in so that I can answer them at the end. All right, so last week we had so many questions. And so I'm going to get right into these. And what I've done is group them into themes so that we're not here for hours and hours. But what I will do is record little videos answering every single question individually so that you can make sure that you get your particular question answered. All right, so the first lot of questions were all around prioritizations. How do you set the correct priorities to manage? How do you decide what to do first, in what order? How do you stop yourself from jumping around and basically get on with what you need to do? What's a sensible strategy to use to change your priorities as you go? Great questions. A lot of them were around the same theme. So let me answer these individually. If you've listened to modules 3 and 4, you will know that the key to prioritization is to feed everything that you need to do into one system. This helps you resolve conflicting priorities. It helps you decide what you're going to get done first, today and now. It also helps you say no, or not now, as I prefer to say, not now, because you've got something to compare what has come up to. So you can actually decide what is more urgent, and if they're both urgent, then what's more important. So that really is what prioritization is all about. It's comparison and assessment. Comparing, but so to be able to compare, you've got to have something to compare it to, and to be able to, again, assess what's the most important, you've got to have something to compare it to. Oh my God, you get the point. All right. So let me answer the questions individually. How do you set the correct priorities? Well, I've already said what you need to do is decide what's most urgent and most important rather than what fits into the time available. So if both of them are urgent, then what's most important? The importance is the deciding factor. What's going to be impactful on your business now and in the future? Where do you start when there are so many things to do and all of them seem urgent and important? I like to start with the easiest ones first, the ones I enjoy the most first, as this is going to give me the biggest bang for my buck. And if you don't exactly know what these particular tasks are, you may need to take a step back and assess and identify them. So I've created a little calculator. It looks sort of like this. I've just noticed now that there's a bit here that needs to be fixed, but not to worry. This calculator helps you decide what's most enjoyable and easiest and what's most impactful for your business. So let me explain how this works. So what you need to do is give every task a rating from 1 to 10, with 10 being really impactful or not impactful, or 1 being really hard or not enjoyable at all, to really enjoyable and really easy. Getting good at writing with my finger. All right, so that's the assessment that you need to make for every task. So every task gets 2, or every project gets 2 scores out of 10. So let's just say, let me give you some example. So Facebooking, building a fan page, contributing to that fan page, making comments in other groups, etc., building the fan page up and up. On a scale of 1 to 10 for impact, it's probably an 8. I could probably build quite a following on Facebook and get a lot of engagement and let people know who I am and what I can do. On a scale of 1 to 10 for enjoyment, so that's impact. For enjoyment, I give it a 1. I just don't even know where to start with Facebook. Sometimes I get inspiration and I might post something, but I'm useless really with Facebook. So for me, this goes here. When I plot it here. So this is a job that I would delegate, and in fact I do delegate. I have somebody who manages my Facebook account and gets likes for my page, and who's doing quite a good job, by the way. So because over the last few weeks I've noticed that his efforts are starting to pay off, like it's starting to steamroll now, which is fantastic. So that's where that particular one plots. Tells me immediately it's one that I probably should delegate because it's going to be of use to my business, but it's not something I like to do. And I'll probably stall on it, which I have done for the last, oh my God, up 10 years since Facebook has been invented and I've had my page. Another one is writing articles and blogs. Actually, I put the word blog because it's shorter. Oh, that's blog, all right? Not blob, blog. So for impact, this is probably a 6 or 7. It's sort of it can be very impactful, but also very slow process, unless you syndicate. And anyway, it can be a slow process, but quite an impactful one for me because it blocks to stay in touch with my list as well. For enjoyment, I would give this maybe a 6. I have inspiration all the time on what to write and what to tell my people about. So I'm always coming up with ideas. So I like the ideas part. But I don't quite like the actual writing of it, which is why it brings it down. So this particular job goes 7 and a 6. So it's about here. So I know that this is one that I need to do but it's not going to make me the biggest impact. So what I do with this particular one is I outsource probably 50% of the job, well, actually probably 70% of the job. So what I do is this. I come up with an idea, and 9 times out of 10 also some pointers I want to make sure get into that actual article. So that's me at the front here. I get my writer to write the article and fine-tune and flesh out my ideas. And that's about another 50% there. Then I will give it my voice and correct any of his concepts to my way of thinking, because of course he can't do it. He's not a specialist in time management. He's a specialist in writing, and a very, very good, and also one who can interpret very well what I'm actually asking to do. He's amazing. So that's me again. And then the last part is my VA, and she basically then goes ahead and posts a blog and syndicates it, so it gets out into the World Wide Web. So that's how it goes when I'm writing articles, but that particular job goes here. So it's one I do need to do, or one I need to do regularly, because it's in that top quadrant there. However, it's not going to bring in money instantly. So do you see how this actually works? You give it 2 scores and you plot it, and it tells you exactly what you need to do. And I will send this tool out to you. It's a great tool to help you prioritize, especially when you've got lots of projects or lots of ideas. Which 3 ideas should you pursue this particular quarter, for example, and use the calculator to help you determine that. All right, so let's move along. Just on this note, actually, while I'm here, this bottom left-hand corner, very low priority, you could probably ignore these tasks, and there might be quite a few that you're currently doing. So if you want to drop a few things, it's a great tool to use, all right? Okay. Let's move along to the next question. What's a sensible reprioritization strategy? So as I said, prioritization is about comparison. Using one system in conjunction with your workload calendar will help you determine what to get into your calendar in the first place. And the calculator also is fantastic to use, because it helps you also account for the fact that there are things that are going to come up that you need to do immediately that you haven't planned for. So rather than continually moving your plans along, you've got space to absorb these things that have come up. So you're not having to reprioritize as much as you would do if you haven't factored this in. So when you use one system and the calculator, and you don't fool yourself or cheat yourself by underestimating how long something actually is going to take. So, for example, you know it's probably an hour and a half work, but you only put a 30-minute block in your calendar, right? So, or you don't leave enough reactive time. So you know it's going to be a hectic week where probably a lot of unexpected things are going to happen, but you don't increase your reactive time to be able to absorb these things and still have some of your day planned. Right? So when you don't fool yourself into thinking you have to do it all, and you know what? When you actually are thinking that you have to do it all, you're really not thinking at all. Because no matter what your budget is, it is really unnecessary for you to do it all. There's always a way to get help. But when you're doing it all, you're not thinking, because if you were thinking, you'd be more creative, more strategic, and you'd be also more realistic, and you'd have much better outcomes at the end of the week. All right, but getting back to my point, if you enter everything into one system and you do spend some time thinking as to what's going to go into your week, and you are honest when you are actually scheduling that time, then you're easily able to prioritize and to delegate because you've got one slot. What are you going to do in that time? What day are you going to do it? Monday or Thursday or Friday? There's no time to do it, so what are you going to do if it has to be done that week? It makes you let go of things a lot quicker when you're using one system. So, and if you couple this with planning weekly and then daily, just reviewing what you got through and previewing the next day, you've got a very nice little sensible prioritization and reprioritization system. So I hope that helps. All right, the next question is, how much time should be dedicated to planning versus doing stuff? So I think it's about 80-20, with 20% planning and 80% action taking. And reprioritization is something that happens continually. It happens all day, basically, as things come up. So know that even if you do schedule and you've made plans, you are going to have to reprioritize a certain portion of that. But it really should never be more than, say, 10 to 30% that you're reprioritizing, because you've got your reactive component in the calculator, in the calculation, the workload calculation. So really it should never be too much that you're reprioritizing if you've got that reactive component accurate. All right, strategic planning. Strategic planning needs to be done annually, quarterly, monthly. You can only plan strategically when you're taking a helicopter view. Planning daily, doing a to-do list daily, keeps your view firmly on what's come up and what's under your nose. This is not strategic. This is dealing with the urgent, or what appears to be urgent and important, rather than what's really best for your business. But when you plan on a Friday for the week ahead, the following week, you have some distance. And it's then when you're actually able to take a step back and take a helicopter view as to, given everything you've got on your plate, what really is the most urgent and important. In fact, it enables you to turn down the volume on the urgency and think a bit more clearer with purpose. So as to the question, how much strategic work should you be doing as opposed to what needs to be done? So I'm interpreting this particular question in two ways. One way is the planning side and one way is the actual doing side. How much work? Look, without knowing more about you and your business, the person who actually asked this question, it's hard to say. But I will say this. I think when you're in business, I think that it's worth, when you're in business, there's always some project that you could or should be doing to bring in either more business or to improve your business systems in some way. So I think strategic work, it's worthy of about 30 minutes a day at the very least. I think that's a very minimum. Now, you can do more. If you can do more, obviously that's fantastic. It's great. If you can do it all in one hit, so maybe 2.5 hours, just say you're doing the half-hour bit, 2.5 hours in one hit, fantastic. There's lots of ways to be right, but the main thing is that you continue to make things easier for yourself. You continue to make your business more profitable and, as the terminology goes, leaner, which means, everything's working smoothly. There's no waste. There's no high expenses, and there's lots more profit. Right? When we don't continually improve, we can tend to get a bit stifled, a bit bored. And that's when really we need to be looking at how we can do business better and easier. But that's just my point of view. There's lots of ways to be right, as I said, but I think every business deserves at least a half an hour, if not more, every week. I like to dedicate about 5 hours a week, 5 to 7 hours a week to business improvement at at a minimum, and this would be a combination of not only project management but also going to courses, self-development, etc. Okay. So how do you say no? This is the next question. How do you say no and prioritize effectively when you have several bosses? Well, I don't like to say no, ever. I like to I like to tell people to say, look, no problem, boss. I definitely can do that for you. These are my deadlines at the moment. Which ones do you want first? Or, no problem, I'll do that one. So that, are you okay if the deadline on this one gets pushed back a week? Really, the answer to this question is that you need to plan and plan well, and you need to communicate your plans. If you can plan with your boss or bosses, even better, so that you can fully support them in what they need to do. But unfortunately, most people don't plan other than meetings with other people. When they block out time to get things done, they don't say what they're going to get done usually. They just block out that they're busy. So it's really hard to support our bosses and to systemize and to make life easier for not only you but for them. But letting someone know what you've got done in a week in a brief email and what you plan to do the following week really helps make sure that they know what you're up to and that your work is aligning with what they consider to be a priority. And if it's not, then they can have a conversation with you. So my best advice is to plan your time and to start communicating what you're doing. You might want to give your boss access to your calendar so that when they ask you to do more and more and more and more and more, you can show them your plans. You can tell them, how long you expect that job to take you. If they want it done today, always asking them when do they want it by, when do they really want it by, so that you can actually schedule it, get it scheduled in and get it done. But always, if you're needing to move deadlines, just ask. You can't perform miracles. There are only so many hours that you're supposed to be working a week. You want your bosses to be happy with how you're working, so involve them in the decision process. No problem, I can do that. I expect that's going to take me 4 hours. When do you want it by? If you want it today, no problem. That means these jobs are going to get moved to tomorrow. Can you live with that? Most bosses don't really have an idea of what we've got on our plates in time, in quantity. They know what it is in the jobs, the titles, but not the nitty-gritties. And sometimes if you say that's going to take you 4 hours, they might want to know why it's going to take you 4 hours, because as far as they're concerned, it shouldn't be taking you that long. So you might need to, honestly, planning is a great process to actually get your boss more involved with what you're going to do, with prioritizing and helping, manage the workload. You might also want to colour the work that you have for different bosses in different colours. So, all the work for Bob is in green, all the work for Mary is in red, all the work for Patrick is in yellow, so that when they look at your calendar, they can see at a glance how much time you are doing for them, and also when you plan to do it and whether they can live with that or not, whether they have a higher priority for you or not. It's not rocket science, and often the most simplest of solutions work the best. So I hope that has been useful. All right. So if actually I might even just ask the question, has it been useful, this information so far? Wonderful. Yes, great stuff. All right. Great tip about the colours. So simple. I know it's often the simple things that we overlook, isn't it? All right, brilliant. Everybody is in agreement. Let's keep going. So I'm going to start. I've gone through the questions that I'm going to answer from the ones that came through. As you can see, they were all mostly around prioritisation. The other lot of questions were around delegation, and as I said, I will be doing a whole call on delegation, and I'll do that after our next, I might even do it next week. We'll see how we go for time next week, but that might be a good one to slot in for next week. But I've already got some ideas as to what else I want to do, so we'll see how we go, all right, for next week on delegation. Now I'm just going to answer some of the questions that have come through, and then what I'd like us to do is actually plan together. So I hope you've got your workload calculator on hand so that you can work through it with me, all right? So let's go through these questions. So the first question is, what type of tasks do you delegate? All right, yes, what type of tasks do you delegate? I delegate things like writing of blogs, as I said. I also do, like if I'm entering a competition, I'll get my writer to write my application for me. Again, I usually give him some ideas as to what I want to put in every answer. Sometimes I'll even write it first. I'll put, put my ideas in every question, and then he'll flesh those ideas for me out, make sure it hits the word limit of the competition, etc. Copywriting, I'm useless at copywriting. I do it, but I'm really bad at it. Proofing, obviously, most things to do with writing, I outsource, as you can hear. IT as well, anything to do with IT, so the setting up of web pages, mostly it's the setting up of web pages that I outsource. Admin and some marketing, so as I mentioned, Facebook. I used to also have my LinkedIn profile managed. Posting of blogs, syndicating of blogs, putting together reports for me, entering of data, lots and lots of things. And you know what? There are actually heaps of articles on that list out what you could delegate or outsource. And so I'll include a link to one of those articles in the email that I send out, which has the recording, the link of the recording, okay? I think that you might find that useful. Right, the next question is, how do you keep up with it all? All right, so, and this is from a female, so what I'm interpreting from that question is, how do you keep up with it all, including the housework and the family and everything else that you have going on in life? Well, I've been in business for 10 years now. And I've had 2 children in that, like one just before I started business. In fact, I started learning. I started a coaching course while my boy was just 6 months old. And when my daughter was born, I was right in the throes of business. I was halfway through. I was 5 years into business. So I'll be honest, over that time, I've wasted a lot of time and money doing things that really got me nowhere because I was sucked in by the marketing. But I've learnt that you don't need to kill yourself, in fact, and you don't have to be doing 300 types of marketing. You really only need to do a couple and work out which ones are the most effective. And when you're new to business, you might need to actually measure what they are, what the most beneficial ones are for you. But you know what? I think in reality, this is my point of view again, that the ones you enjoy doing the most, you can make actually quite successful for your business. I find that when I do something that I don't actually enjoy doing, it's not successful. And it's probably because I've put bad luck on it because I'm not comfortable doing it. It's not me. So I don't do lots and lots of different types of marketing, as I said. Like I don't go to networking events. Well, I hardly ever go to a networking event. I hardly even meet people one-to-one, really. The only people I meet one-to-one are people that are interested in doing business with me 80% of the time. I'll do, 20% of the time I will catch up with people that support me or that I support them. but very rarely really do I venture out for meetings. As I said, I do have a Facebook page and somebody else manages that. Because I'm useless with Facebook, even on my own private page, most of my friends catch up on my news through my husband's. I get most of my business through referrals and I stay front of mind with my list through my articles. And right now I'm also getting JV ready, which is like a referral really, but it's much on a much bigger scale, I suppose, because it's not one referral or 3 referrals. It's a person that's endorsing you to their list by actually sending something out to them on your behalf. So that's really how I get business, through those methods. You know, doing talks I consider is almost the same as writing an article. So as I said, I believe any method can work, but when you pinpoint the 1 to 2 to 3, then stop running yourself ragged, and actually if you concentrate in on those. And the way I worked out how I market is by just looking back at how I got the clients that I did get. Some came through my website, which was through an article, but also my website, if you Google time management Perth, it comes up on the first page and up quite high. So SEO is probably also a good one to have nowadays, but I would outsource that. I wouldn't be doing that either. All right, so how do I keep up with it all was the initial question. So let me just tell you, I work business hours plus 60 to 90 minutes on top of that on either side, unless I'm delivering training, which is usually from, like, I leave home at around 7 and I get home around 6. So they're the only days that I work beyond school hours. I generally also work during when my kids are doing some sort of activity or work. I actually read. It's more like during those sessions when they're actually at karate or gymnastics or something like that, I'm reading a book, or, because I'm a major bookworm, by the way, or I'm listening to a course or something like that. So, you know, I fit in my sharpening the sword during those particular sessions. But the way I do it all is I plan well. I don't do anything that's not important or needing to be done by me. I outsource it, and I outsource it quickly so I get the right help, and so I don't storm my businesses. It's quite major, because if I find I'm procrastinating, it means that I need to outsource it and do it quickly. I try to make my systems evergreen so that I can do it once and then leave it, but again, that's probably only been of late when I've started getting some really good help with writing copy, etc. The other way I do it all is I chip away at stuff. So I'm not good at cramming. I hate the stress. I do a little bit every day, and I have deadlines and accountabilities. So like this program, it had to be ready because I was advertising it. So I had a really strong deadline to work to. With things like house cleaning, look, in all honesty, my priorities are my business. I love what I do, and my family. They're my priorities. So look, our house is always tidy and always reasonably clean. I cook every day. I do the clothes every week. They're 2 things that I do day in or week in without fail. And as I said, I tidy up at the end of the day, but I don't dust every day. We dust weekly. I clean the bathrooms. I won't say weekly, but most weeks, more often than not, you know, the bathroom and the en-suites, etc. I like to have things tidy, but I'm not fanatical. It's my prioritisation. It's where my priorities lie. So definitely house cleaning is not one that I prioritise. I'm very lucky though. My husband, he'll probably hate me for saying this, he does all the floors. He's fanatical about the floors and has to have them done daily. So he's a blessing. Otherwise, I don't know when I would do the floors. I'd probably sweep daily, but not mop them, which he mops them every day. My mum lives with us, so I do a lot of things for my mum, but she also folds my clothes for me, which is a big blessing for me. So we have a lot of help, but we give a lot of help as well, if you know what I mean. Like my mother-in-law, bless her, she's ironing our clothes. I know, ironing my clothes. Oh my God, it's such a blessing. But then we do things for them. So it all goes around, and we sort of try to, like my mother-in-law loves to iron. I know she's a mad woman. She loves to iron. I can't stand ironing. I only iron if I've got to wear something. So she offered to do this job for us, and we've never looked back since. I'm sure she's regretting it now, now that the clothes don't stop coming. But yes, it's just one job that I've never done other than when I needed to wear something and it needed to be ironed. So I hope that helps. I suppose the main point is that I prioritise. So if we're all home and we're all free, we go out or we spend time together, which is usually the weekends. After school is every day just about. One of my kids has an activity, except for Fridays. I don't like to do anything Friday afternoons. That is downtime. So every day after school and Saturday mornings we've got activities with the kids. They're my priority. My family's my priority, so I want to feed them. I want to cook for them a good meal, so I cook every day. They're clean and tidy. You know, we get them washed, we get them their clothes washed. It's where you put your focus, isn't it? I don't let the things like undone jobs bother me, but I do have a list and I chip away at it. So every week I'll cross something off the list of something that I want to get done. So I've got a list of things, you know, small things like the gardening. I hate gardening. So doing the weeds. On a Friday, my kids go out the front, they play with the neighbours' kids. I'll stand outside and I'll do some gardening while they're playing. So I just try to chip it in and build it in with what's going on. Same with exercise. I find if I don't exercise in the morning, then it's not going to get done. So the first thing I do is I get up, I'll go to the gym, I'll do my writing. I love writing and having my own special time in the morning. So I get up around 6:30 to get to the gym. Then the kids wake up at 6:45. I only spend about half an hour, 40 minutes at the gym. The kids get up about quarter to 8, sorry. Then it's getting them ready, breakfast time. In amongst, while they're having breakfast, I'll clear my emails. I get back from work, have a quick I'll get back from dropping them off, have a quick shower, and I'll get into work. So I hope that helps as to an insight as to my routine, as to how I get it done. I'm no miracle worker like any of you. I give help and I receive help. I do things that I find easy for me. So I'm the form filler in our family. I'm the caller in our family. So if anybody wants something done with Centrelink or you know, wherever, licensing department, I'm usually the person that does all the ringing and the following up and the getting the filling of the forms, etc., because that's what I do easily. And somebody else does other things easily for me. So it all goes around. But I hope that helps answer your question there. It's probably a long-winded version. All right, so that handles all the questions there. What I'd like to do now is do a plan for the week. We're getting to the bottom of our call. So for the next 10, 15 minutes, we're going to plan. So get out your workload calculator. And once we've done this, by the way, and you've gone ahead and scheduled it, print the screen and put a copy of your schedule into Dropbox. If you would like me to comment, and I strongly urge you to get me to start commenting on your calendars, drop me an email to say you've put it into Dropbox and I'll go and have a look, all right? Drop me a link to actually the documents, even better. All right, so let me take you through how I plan. All right, so at the end of the week, I sit down And I get out my miracle planner. Let me show you what that looks like. And I don't think I've told you much about the miracle planner, but I will. This is what I'm going to look at next week in our call. Just so you know, I'll go through the miracle planner in the call. So I get out my miracle planner, which looks like this. It's on the screen now. And I also get out my workload calculator, which looks like this. Now, my miracle planner is basically a summary for the quarter, what my projects are, what clients I've got on the go. I also include personal project goals that I have. So that's basically what it is. It's a one-page snapshot. And the way I use this is that I use this to decide, to help me take a helicopter view. Given everything on my plate at the moment and on the horizon, what must I do? Okay, and I've just got a new prism I need to insert in here. And I'm putting in initials to save the privacy of these people, just so you know, okay? All right, so these are the projects that I have on the go. These are the work I have on the horizon. So next what I do is I decide, what must I actually get done next week? So with my PTME, with this particular program that you guys are doing, so let me get these two up actually. Just bear with me while I do this. Okay, so now I can see both of these documents. So I tend not to fill this in first. You can do, and I do suggest that you do. However, sometimes I find that it can put me off because I'm aware of how many hours I have or don't have. So work I must do, what's my aim or focus? My focus for this week, in fact for the next quarter, is my JV process, getting JV ready. Oh. Getting JV ready. That's really my focus for the week. And in particular, I want to create a freebie, opt-in page, and opt-in page. Whoops. Okay, so that's my goal basically, my aim for the week. Just make sure this call's recording. Okay. All right, great. Sorry for a second there. I thought I wasn't showing the screen. I almost had a heart attack. All right, so what work must I do this week? So with practical time management for entrepreneurs, what must I do for practical time management entrepreneurs this coming week? All right, well, I need to get ready for next week's call. Result desired. To be ready. Impactful call. It's really my desire. How long is it going to take me? It takes me about 2 hours. 2 to 3 hours. Let's say 3. Does it pay me? Yes. Because I'll be able to, once I've prepared once, then the next courses are going to be just so much easier because I won't have to do it again and again. Who's responsible? Me, because nobody knows how to do it except I can't outsource this one out. I actually think I could outsource it out, but I don't. I want to do it myself. All right, anything else I need to do for practical time management for entrepreneurs? I need to send out module 5. Okay, get info to okay, it's not 3 minutes, sorry. It's a 5-minute job. Actually, I could get my VA to do that one. All right, that's about it. The next client I've got, she's not here, so there's nothing I need to do for that at the moment. She's overseas for the moment. The next client I've got to pick up a report for them, and I've got to pick up a report for the other people. But there's no prep work for either of those. Nothing I need to prepare. So other than that, it's going to take me 5 minutes. I've got to do it. Actually, I just want to review reports as well. So I'm ready for the discussion. That's probably going to take me 30 minutes in total. All right, next one. Yep, that's the same as the other one. Same sort of work I need to do. This one here is on the job, so other than the hours I put in, there's no preparation. I just show up, do whatever they need me to help with or do. This one here, the next one, oh yes, that's a new client, and I've just got to print the paperwork, which I've already done and got ready to take with me. Otherwise, I need to just probably reconfirm. So that's a 5-minute job. Do you get an idea of what's happening? Like, it just reinstates why I'm doing something. It's 1 minute. Oh, yes, it's paying me. I don't need to do it though. My VA could just do that for me. Reconfirm. And this new client, I've just got to touch base with. It'll take 5 minutes. It's me, and I have to do that one. And my first JV partner, I'm not sure what I'm going to, oh yes, I know what I'm going to have to do there. I'm going to have to set up an opt-in page for their clients, co-branding. All right, and the result is to be ready to market. And that's going to take 3 minutes, because all I've got to do is tell my IT people to do it. Okay. So what I'm doing is, as I'm going through this, I'm just mentally just ticking off, what's the next step? What's the next step for every single client I'm working with at the moment or have on the horizon? Is it to speak to someone? Is it to do something? Is it to follow up with something? What is it that I actually have to do so that I'm always moving things forward and along? All right, the next thing is I need to create for my projects. What do I need to do to move them forward? Create and test. That's the actual project, but what's the next step? So the next step is really the freebie. Okay, so there's a few steps here. I've got to create it. I've got to set up the opt-in page. So this is a different opt-in page from the one above. So what I'm going to do is actually not get them to do this for now. I'll use just the one above, and then we can maybe just copy that one. That might be the best way to do to save time. So do you hear how I'm just taking you through my thinking process? Freebie is to get traffic. That's the purpose of this. It's probably going to take me all up maybe 30 minutes, and I'll tell you why. Because I have outsourced it. So somebody else is creating that for me. I've given them the thing that I want. They're doing everything. They're doing the opt-in page and everything. The graphic, everything. So that's going to get that one done. And that's my next step. The other thing I want to do this week is to, with this particular project, is to watch some training on product development. And that's going to take 6 hours. So that's what, 6 hours times 60, it's around 60 minutes. I'm just going to put 6 hours, that makes it easier for me. I don't have to do it, but I think it's going to be very useful if I do it. All right, next one. Recruit joint venture partners. Oh, sorry. Automate nurture program. I'm not going to do anything about that this week because I think the person who's going to help me with the freebie is going to help me with that as well. So I'm going to leave that one for this week. Get book on Kindle. I've actually got that in progress, and I've just got to follow up with the person who's doing it for me. So do you hear how many jobs I've outsourced here? Not all of them need to be done by me. In fact, I just slow the whole thing up if I do it myself because I don't know what I'm doing. So with the Kindle project, I'm just going to follow up. Reggie, just see how that is. It's going to take me probably 15 minutes. And I'll get an update of where that's at and what she needs me to do. All right, the next one. For my next routine work, blog, Twitters. Yes, I'm going to create 2 blogs this week, 2 videos, and I'm going to do them. The purpose is for marketing. Yes, and how long is it going to take me? It's going to take me 10 minutes in total. So let's just say 30 minutes in total. And for me to actually get my head around what I need to do. Topic, what I'm going to say, record and load. I'm just going to do them at my desk on YouTube, so it's going to be nice and easy. Yes, it's paying me and I need to do it. But then I'll get my VA to syndicate it. So it's just, I just need to email her. It's going to take me 5 minutes to instruct her on what to do. Recruit 2 joint venture partners. Yes, I'm going to actually call about 3 people this week. So I'll call 3 people. And that's probably going to take me about 15 minutes, say 30 minutes in total, but it won't take me that long. Follow up on referrals. I think there's 1 referral I do need to follow up with. Actually, there's 2. And I can do that at the same time that I'm going to speak with I'll do that then. And enter payments, I always have that already accounted for in my system. And talks, I have 1 talk the following week, and I'm already prepared for this, so there's nothing I need to do there. Improve my Serbian, I do that when I'm at the things with the kids, so I listen to a recording, some audios, or I listen to a course about how to speak Serbian. on my phone, and I'm just started an 8-week challenge, and we start next week. So that's all in the morning, and it's already accounted for. So this is what I've got to do this week. Okay. Now, I know that most of these I've already scheduled because I just am that way. I plan as I'm always one step ahead, and I've always got this thing out, the Miracle Planner. Well, once a week I have it out, I should say, and I plan for the week ahead, so I've already got it scheduled into my week. So I know I've already got most of these in there. But let's just see how many they add up to. So that's 3 hours. 3 hours. So in total it's 11 hours 35 I've got. Now let's work out how much time I've actually got to do that work. Okay, so we already know the aim for the week is to do the freebie, really. When I got down to it, it's the week beginning the 10, 11, 12, 13 of September. Number of hours I intend to work. Well, I normally work about a 32.5-hour week. So I'm going to say 33 hours, just to make it easy. Number of hours scheduled in my calendar. Well, I already know that I have 23 hours in my calendar already scheduled. Reactivity component is 30% of the 33, and that works out to about 10 hours. Okay, so that leaves me with 0, as you can see here. So I am not in a good position if I've got 11.35 hours of work. Do you see this? Is A greater than B? No, it's not. Is B greater than A? Yes, it is. So what am I going to do about it? All right. So let's have a look at my schedule. So as you can see, I've got my calls down here and my quick things, the actual people I'm going to get in touch with for JVs. I've already scheduled my work for my clients and even the prep work, so most of these have actually already been scheduled. The actual course I'm going to do, unfortunately, it's with America, so I have to get up really early in the morning, but in some ways, because it's, look, I don't like getting up really early, but I want to ask questions. I want to be there when it's live so that I can ask the questions. So fortunately, or unfortunately for me, the 6 hours for the course that I need to do is all out of business hours. So it's all before business. So that one's already taken care of. Let me fill it with this. The freebie with Sylvia, it's going to be as it comes up, so it's probably going to be during my reactive time, so there's nothing I need to schedule there. The opt-in page, it's a 3-minute, like it's an email I need to write to my IT people, so again, I don't need to schedule any time there. Touch base with my client, 5 minutes, so I don't need to schedule it in. Reconfirming, don't need to schedule it in. Pick up reports, this I need to make sure is in here. Let's just see. Yep, pick up printing, it's on my way to another appointment. So, and this has to do, all of this has to do with preparing for the teleconference. So, and the program. So that's all good. Let's just see what else I've got here. Whoops, so pick up reports, yes, it's been scheduled in. Send out module 5 and get ready for next week's course. That's already scheduled in. This one's not, but it's 15 minutes, so I'm not going to schedule it in because it'll be a job I do in and around everything else. But I do need to make sure that I actually check in with her. So let me just call Reggie and check in regarding the Kindle book. And that's a job that I've had outstanding for ages because I was going to do it. But then I had a meeting with a friend who does online marketing, and she happened to mention something which made me ask if she would do it for me, and she gave me a great price. So I've outsourced the job. Next one, 2 blog topics. These I'm going to do on a day that I'm already dressed for work, and it's going to take me 30 minutes, so I'm going to do that more than likely on this day here. Actually, more than likely on this day here. So let me schedule that in. So I pick up the kids, I take Delilah to gymnastics. All right, so it'll probably be here because, no, I'm not going to do these here. Sorry, excuse me, gosh, this is a real life what I'm doing, because I've already got time to get this done next week, which is suitable, more suitable. So when I do this work, I will also record logs. All right. So as you can see, I've got yellow appointments, I've got green appointments, and I've got red appointments. Now, red for me is working on my business. Yellow is working in my business. So as you can see, I've got a lot of yellow in here, but most of my red is out of business hours. Do you see that? The product creation. And a lot of also my red stuff are in the calls that I make this particular week. So I have got red. I always like to see some red, some yellow. That's the 80-20, the strategic work, and the working in my business work, as well as seeing some green, which is personal appointments. So let me just finish off here. Get my VA to syndicate. That's a 5-minute job. I don't need to schedule it. Call 3 people. I've got 3 people, and I would actually say who I'm going to call in here when I'm actually doing my planning. So as you can see, most of what I had actually to do was already scheduled in this 23 hours. So, phew, thank God for that, which means that I can work my 32 hours and I can practice my my Serbian during the activities that my kids do, and my training will have to be on the Monday and the Friday this week, and I know that I'm going to actually be riding a bike with my son to gymnastics, to karate a couple of times this week too, so that'll sort that out. So I hope this has actually been very useful for you, seeing what I do to plan, and I hope you actually have been planning with me. Next week I might actually take it a bit slower so we can actually do it together. So from here, the summary for this call is to stop and consider, what must you get done next week? Take that helicopter view, which is a bit distant from when you actually need to do the work. Once you've scheduled what you need to get done into your calendar, take a screenshot and save it to Dropbox. Accountability, your accountability number 4 is done. Well done to you. You're one step closer to getting that money. Remember, it's about scheduling your priorities, not doing a wish list of A, B, C. It's about getting your most important into your calendar first, but being very realistic as to the quantity of what that is. Okay, don't cheat or fool yourself. I see so many people being very ambitious with their calendars. Other than this, I hope you have a great week. Remember, next week we are module 3. We're going to be just implementing next week. Send me links to your particular calendar screenshot so I can give you some feedback, and have a great week.